Good to see you. Historic first, the Colorado Supreme Court disqualifying President Trump from their state's 2024 primary ballot. 14th Amendment of the Constitution says office holders cannot support insurrection, and the judges say that Trump did that with his actions on January 6. Trump campaign calling the ruling a quotation to interfere in election on behalf of crooked Joe Biden. With more, we are joined by a constitutional law expert, loyal law professor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, good to see you've never seen anything like this in us historic, and you break down what the court is saying here. So exactly as you said, the Colorado Supreme Court is looking at the 14th Amendment. This is a post-Civil War portion of our Constitution, and it was meant to prevent people from the Confederacy from serving in government, again saying essentially, if you're trying to destroy our government from within, then we don't want you representing it. And so it says if you engage in insurrection, or if you give aid or comfort to those who doth, and you are disqualified from appearing on a ballot. We've applied this, for instance, in New Mexico to much lower positions, for instance, to a county supervisory believe, but obviously never been in this situation before. The Colorado Supreme Court, as you know, state its decision, meaning it doesn't go into effect until January 4th, giving time it for the inevitable challenge to the US Supreme Court. But just to be clear, Donald Trump has not been criminally convicted of insurrection. Or do you need to think under the best reading of the 14th Amendment? If I look at the 14th Amendment, look at its purpose and why it's there and how we've used it in the past, don't think that's a threshold to apply 14th Amendment here. Okay, so we've seen this as Colorado. We've seen similar lawsuits in other states, including in California. Could something like this happen here? Potentially. I think again we're waiting on the US Supreme Court, and my best prediction is that they will find a reason, and I'm not sure which one it is, but there's some likely suspects to overturn the Colorado decision. Alexei, I'm sure you remember in 2000 Bush figure, the Supreme Court essentially decided the presidential election. It caused a crisis of legitimacy, and that was after people voted. Don't think the US Supreme Court wants to make a decision that takes this option away from voters, that makes it look like they are not letting the electorate use their fundamental right to vote. So it could happen in California. I don't think it's going toned. It should be pointed out as well, Donald Trump put 3 of the justices on the US Supreme Court right now, and there's a Republican supermajority, at least a Republican appointed supermajority. Of course, I see that they're not partisan, but sometimes proved to be so. It would be really interesting to see how this breaks down, because of course this question of interpreting the 14th Amendment shouldn't have anything to do with your political ideology, but obviously it has huge political implications. I suspect we will see maybe something more like a 5-4 decision, but there's a couple of different paths the Supreme Court could take. They could say that this wasn't an insurrection, or that Trump didn't give aid or comfort to those who engaged in it, or as the lower court said in this case, that this provision doesn't apply to the presidency, that applies to other offices. So there's a lot of different routes for the Supreme Court to take. You're the person who studies the legality of all theses, the guy that studies the politics of this. Assuming what you're saying is true and the Supreme Court says no to this, and he is on the ballot after all, this only helps him politically. It brings the Republican Party even closer to Donald Trump. Every time the court is ruled against him, his party is rallied even more. So it's crazy to think that disqualifying from the ballot are now